Over the last couple of months, there has been a rise in a certain topic video in the coaster community. A topic so hot that every enthusiast makes a video on it. A coaster so popular that enthusiasts simply can't get enough of it. That coaster is Velocicoaster. As many of you already know, Velocicoaster is the newest intamin multi-launch coaster coming to Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. This coaster has been getting a super large amount of hype, with many enthusiasts saying that it could possibly be the best coaster ever built. However, in this video, I'm not really going to be discussing that. You see, over the last couple of months, we've seen a gigantic surge in YouTube videos talking about Velocicoaster and how good of a coaster it is. I've seen countless videos on Velocicoaster basically saying that it's going to be the best coaster in the world. I've seen many videos basically saying the exact same thing, but there is one thing that no one seems to talk about. Everyone seems to talk about the ride itself, but nobody seems to talk about what the ride really means for the coaster industry. In this video, I'm going to be telling you why I think Velocicoaster is actually much bigger than Universal and why I think it will have lasting implications for the amusement industry. So in this video, join me as I discuss everything about Velocicoaster while answering the question of what does Velocicoaster mean for the coaster industry and ultimately theme parks everywhere. But like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I post brand new videos every week and I really appreciate all the wonderful support that this channel has been getting. But now let's get to the video. Obviously, I'm sure many of you are already extremely familiar with Velocicoaster, but in case you aren't, I'm going to go over it as briefly as possible. Velocicoaster is the new for 2021 next generation intamin blitz coming to Universal Islands of Adventure in 2021. This coaster is going to be built in the Jurassic section of the park, and it's obviously going to be themed to the Jurassic Park franchise. This coaster most likely is going to have 2 launches, 3 inversions, a bunch of airtime moments, and top-notch Jurassic World / Jurassic Park theming. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are saying that this coaster could possibly be the best in the world, and let me just tell you that I definitely think it's possible. In my opinion, this coaster seems to take the best elements of a bunch of coasters and merges them into one. It takes the airtime of an RMC, combines them with whippy forceful launches, adds a bunch of amazing inversions, and then tops it all off with some universal quality theming. So I 100% think that this ride is going to be up there in terms of ride experience. Will it actually be the best coaster in the world? We don't know. However, for this video, we're going to pretend that this coaster is the greatest of all time. For this video, we're going to imagine that Velocicoaster opens and it becomes the GOAT. If Velocicoaster really is the world's best coaster, it would mean a lot for the coaster industry and affect the coaster industry in 3 main ways. Let me explain. If Velocicoaster turns out to be this epic themed thrilling ride experience and draws enormous crowds, I think it's very possible that it could change the amusement industry as we know it. If we look at Velocicoaster very carefully, we will notice a couple of things. The first thing we will notice is that it's going to have super heavy universal quality theming during the ride. This means that Velocicoaster would be the world's first thrill coaster with that degree of theming. Usually big rides don't have that much theming during the ride except for the occasional rock work. This is mainly because you are traveling at faster speeds and you don't really have that much time to take in all of the theming. Velocicoaster aims to change that. Not only will the beginning of the ride have a dark ride section, but during the ride you will pass over certain areas of the ride multiple times to ensure that you have time to take in all of the sights. Velocicoaster is truly something that we have never seen before. We have never seen a coaster of this thrill level with this magnitude of theming. So if this ride is a success, I think that there is a chance that we will see the rise of the themed thrill coaster. If this ride proves that it's worth it for parks to invest in theming, we might see a big wave of new thrill rides that are actually decently themed. Now for this, I'm not just talking about Universal, because Velocicoaster is bigger than Universal and will have implications that expand to other chains. I'm talking about chains like Hershend and even to an extent Cedar Fair. If Velocicoaster really knocks it out of the park, it will show big chains like Cedar Fair how valuable theming really is. Up until only a few years ago, chains like Cedar Fair didn't really make it a priority to theme their rides. In fact, until Mystic Timber, Cedar Fair's theming level was about the same as Six Flags. But nowadays you can see that Cedar Fair is really trying hard. Granted, their theming isn't great, but you can definitely see that they are trying. You can look at newer coasters like Copperhead Strike and Orion and clearly tell that Cedar Fair is starting to realize the importance of theming their rides. I think after seeing the success of Velocicoaster, more chains will start putting a major emphasis on theming, which this could lead to more highly themed thrill coasters in the future. The second major impact that Velocicoaster could have on the coaster industry is that if it's successful, it might give Intamin a huge boost in the American coaster market. You probably already know this, but Velocicoaster is a huge project. This coaster alone most likely costs over $100 million, and it was most likely planned for a very long time. Intamin as a company is unfortunately known for being kind of unreliable. They are known for taking chances, but unfortunately their coasters are also known to be maintenance nightmares. This is one of the reasons why companies like Cedar Fair and Six Flags tend to stay away from them. So this takes us to Velocicoaster. If Velocicoaster is a huge success and proves that the new Intamins are extremely reliable, I think companies like Cedar Fair and Six Flags will be more inclined to work with Intamin in the future. Depending on how well this coaster is received, I think that we could see Cedar Fair and Six Flags start working with Intamin as early as 2024. I've always had the unpopular opinion that Cedar Fair would work with Intamin again eventually. It's just a matter of when, so I definitely think that Velocicoaster could push it over the edge and we would finally once again see a Cedar Fair Intamin partnership. The third major impact that Velocicoaster will have is it will most likely pave the way for other Universal attractions, or more specifically the coasters at Epic Universe. Because this is Universal's second major project with Intamin, they are most likely developing a major partnership with one another. So this means that when Universal is looking to build another coaster, they will most likely go with yet again another Intamin. This would be very similar to the partnership that Disney has with Vekoma. Now granted, this would only happen if Velocicoaster is a success, but given that it is, this opens up a lot of possibilities. For example, in the concept art for Epic Universe, there's a white and yellow dueling coaster. We honestly have no information about this ride, so it could honestly be anything. I've heard a lot of people say that this could be Intamin's new single rail hot racer model. This would make a lot of sense considering the dueling aspect of the ride, but I actually think it could be something else by Intamin. Now before I tell you what I think it is, let me just tell you that this is a super bold prediction and you're most likely going to think that I'm crazy. Now this is probably not going to happen, but here's what I think it could possibly be. I honestly think that it could be a dueling dragon style Intamin coaster. Okay, let me explain. This image with the white and yellow coaster is something called a preliminary concept drawing. This is basically a picture to show what Epic Universe is going to be like without going into the exact details. In drawings like this, parks show vague renderings of certain attractions without revealing too much about the ride itself. I think the main thing that Universal wanted to stress is that whatever this coaster is, it's definitely going to be dueling. Now you may be asking yourself, why in the world do I think it's going to be a dueling dragon style Intamin? And my answer is simple. Universal is usually very secretive about their new attractions, and I don't think that they would ever want to give away a ride just like that. Imagine if Universal really was adding a dueling dragon style ride in Epic Universe. If they were, I don't think that they would want to put the entire thing on the concept art because it would be a dead giveaway. Instead, I think they would put a coaster that's super vague just to emphasize the dueling aspect of the ride, similar to what's on the concept art now. Now that is just my super bold prediction, and like I said, it's probably not going to happen. However, I just wanted to throw that out there in case it does so I can have all of the bragging rights. Anyways, to conclude, Velocicoaster looks to be one of the best coasters ever created, and I honestly think that it will affect the coaster industry in more ways than we know. When it opens, Velocicoaster is going to be a truly amazing experience to all who ride it, and it's going to fit the park perfectly. On top of many other things, I think Velocicoaster is going to serve as the stepping stone for Intamin to gain more traction in the American coaster market, as well as it's also going to show other chains the importance of theming. I think it's things like these that could end up changing the entire coaster industry as we know. So Velocicoaster may not just be a coaster. It's something much bigger, and I think Velocicoaster is the beginning of something amazing. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see content just like this every single week, and comment below your thoughts on Velocicoaster. How good of a coaster do you think it's going to be? This is the Coaster Josh signing out.